Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. Welcome to September 1st. Unbelievable. Boy, some are screaming by on me. What I did is I dug the second traffic sign out of the bushes and just trying to figure out what I have and don't have. So that's what it looks like. Obviously somebody cut the sign off of it or pulled the pins and took it off. No matter which way you twist it and turn it, the traffic sign is gone. So I have the trailer, and on the trailer sits this engine. What you could see is this sign is a little different than the other sign. The other sign had a little pull thing for shutting the engine off, and if you pulled it, it would shut the pump down. That's what this thing does. And it feels like it's moving, which is a good sign. This one looks older than the other one. And you can kind of look at the control box and go, what the heck is this? I mean, this looks much older. So, this sign theoretically has 2,600 hours on it. I think the other side had 1,200 hours on it. This is the on and off. I guess it turns the fuel pump on and off. That's the button for the starter. I don't know. There's a few serial numbers for people if they're interested. The more important serial number is the Diesel 6LD Lombardini Diesel, so 6LD260. This is like a 5 horsepower, 4.8, depending on exactly which model it is. And you can see the serial number. I don't recall what year the other one was. This just looks a bit older. I might run that serial number, see if I get anything on it, or that just says 2,800 RPM. So I didn't find any other insignia or anything on it indicating a year of any kind. So, obviously this thing is missing a few things. This is where the diesel fuel, goes into the engine, into the pump. So, I gotta hook a fuel pump to this, and then on the other side of the fuel pump a gas tank, and that'll be that. This looks like where the fuel came from the tank, went to this hose, and on the end there was probably the fuel pump. Right, and then the fuel pump sent it up. This is the return line. So this will have to go into the top of the tank as the return. This out, the fuel pump will go out the bottom of the tank, and then it feeds into this and on out. So it's interesting. You see all the nuts and all. The mice had their way. This engine is not seized, but you see the I think it had a mouse living in here. So I am gonna, looks like they got the alternator bolted right up to the engine. I'm gonna take this off for the time being. I'd just like to get this engine running, just to at the bottom. Oil coated air filter. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, they didn't run it out of oil. It's about halfway out. What am I going to do with the signs? The other sign for the time being, I'm going to leave intact with the lights on it and the whole shooting match. Why? Because it's easier to have it that way than to tear the whole thing apart and have the sign leaning up against the house until it falls over and so forth. So it's just easier to keep the other one completely intact as it is. And as of now, I can use that to charge 12-volt batteries. It obviously starts and charges, it flashes the lights, it does all that junk. So that's what the other one is going to do for the time being. This one would probably be the one that I'll experiment with first. I haven't tried to lift this engine. Obviously it's bolted here, but it looks like it's heavy. It looks like it weighs more than most all-terrain vehicle engines, and most all-terrain vehicle engines weigh somewhere around 75 pounds. If I had to guess, this is probably 100 and a quarter. It looks heavy. That starter looks heavy. All of 100 and a quarter. Maybe a little bit more than that too. Yeah, they did this. This is interesting. This bolts directly up. Yeah, that's a direct bolt up. So I'm going to have to take those bolts off, get the starter out of the way. Probably get the engine out of the cradle as much as I can. Get this cover off. Clear Mickey Mouse and his droppings out of there. And then I could put a pump on it, purge a little fuel through it, and then see if she'll fire up. So this is obviously going to be a part 2. For some of you guys who know more about diesel than I do, this fuel is over 10 years old. The fuel in the other one is over 10 years old. Could I use that in my heating system? I mean, diesel and home heating oil are more or less the same. The only thing about diesel is nowadays they want it cleaner from a pollution point of view, where with home heating oil they're not quite as careful. So anyway, I was just curious, even if the fuel has, mold growing in it or whatever, could I still use it? When I get a fresh load of fuel, or just before I get a fresh load of fuel, if I had to guess between the two of them, maybe there's 10 or 20 gallons worth of fuel. Just for a number, call it 20 gallons worth of fuel. That's it's only worth $40. It's not the money that I'm concerned about. It's just easier to get rid of the fuel if I burn it as home heating oil than if I start trying to, shop it about to get rid of it. I guess I can find somebody who burns used oil for heat, and if there's some diesel fuel mixed in with their used oil, it shouldn't cause them too much trouble. Anyway, folks, so that's the second Lombardini 6LG260 diesel, air-cooled diesel engine. You can see, once again, this one's in a little worse shape than the last one. Fortunately, the tires kind of went a little flat on this. This will be a nice trailer also, just for around the Hoard. Whether I put a crane on it and use it for towing things, it's pretty substantial. Yeah, just so you guys can see a little more of the trailer. Almost looks like one of those little campers you tow behind your car. Except way short, you know, for somebody who's only 3 foot tall, perhaps. Oh, they got the lights off of this and everything. This one I think did private duty for a while. Alright folks, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your heads up. Please get out there and enjoy all your days. Bye now folks.